Hey everyone, welcome back. So glad you're here with us today. Okay, if you're the kind of person who really loves peeling back the curtain to see how the entertainment industry actually works behind the scenes, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a situation that has pretty much completely captivated Hollywood. I'm talking about the sudden, highly publicized legal battle and its honestly shocking conclusion surrounding the movie It Ends With Us, involving Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. We're going to break down the anatomy of the settlement. We'll look way past the flashy headlines to really understand the raw legal mechanics, the huge social fallout, and the macro-cultural shifts that this entire case represents.
All right, let's just dive right into it. Here is our roadmap. 1. The surprise lawsuit settlement. 2. Legal claims and jurisdiction. 3. Celebrity friends and subpoenas. 4. Alleged impact on careers. And finally, 5. Shifts in Hollywood culture. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The surprise lawsuit settlement. You know, it is really rare to see a buildup this intense just sort of vanish overnight, but that's exactly what happened here. Just 14 days. Literally, 2 weeks before jury selection was supposed to start, the plug was suddenly pulled. I mean, just imagine the millions of dollars spent, right? The PR machines running on absolute overdrive. A year and a half of intense legal posturing with all these initial declarations that this was going to go all the way to a public trial to protect future young ladies, only for the entire fight to just stop right on the courthouse steps. Now, in the legal world, especially in high-stakes entertainment litigation, settling late in the game isn't totally unheard of. But the timing here, it's striking. It immediately makes you wonder, what exactly changed behind closed doors at the 11th hour to force such a sudden retreat?
Well, take a look at this. Moving forward constructively and in peace. This is an excerpt from the carefully crafted joint statement released to the press. It projects this perfectly peaceful, calm PR tone, really emphasizing a desire for closure. But we have to contrast that polished public sentiment with the actual legal reality. This peaceful retreat wasn't necessarily born out of some sudden harmony. It looks a lot more like a cold, hard realization by Lively's legal team that a massive financial payday just simply wasn't going to happen. And you know, when the leverage completely evaporates, peace suddenly becomes the best available PR strategy to save face.
If we look at the lifespan of this conflict, it kicked off roughly 18 months ago, steadily building momentum, generating just countless headlines. But then comes this really pivotal moment in April, setting up for a 2026 trial date where the major claims were suddenly dismissed by a judge. From there, it was just a rapid descent straight to that final settlement 14 days before trial. The foundational arguments against Justin Baldoni basically collapsed, which practically forced the rapid settlement just to avoid what would have been a really unfavorable trial.
Which brings us to Section 2, legal claims and jurisdiction, because ultimately it wasn't PR that won the day here. It was the dry, technical mechanics of the legal system itself. 10. That is the number of claims out of the original 13 that a federal judge shockingly threw entirely out of court. And guys, this wasn't just a minor trim. This completely gutted the lawsuit. The judge dismissed the harassment, defamation, and conspiracy claims in one fell swoop. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this ruling effectively removed Justin Baldoni as a defendant completely. He was officially off the hook. The only entities left holding the bag on some minor contract claims were a PR firm and the production companies. So that whole narrative of a grand war against a specific individual, it was legally dismantled by this single number. So, why were those 10 claims thrown out? Well, it all comes down to this one concept: jurisdiction. Think of it kind of like the geographic boundary of legal power, right? A court can only enforce laws over matters that actually happen within its specific territory. It sounds like this boring, simple technicality, but in the chess match of high-stakes litigation, jurisdiction is literally everything. It dictates exactly which rulebook you're forced to play by.
And the core of this case was a massive jurisdictional trap. The strategy was likely meant to leverage the new, incredibly strict post-MeToo workplace laws that were passed in California. The calculation there is pretty obvious. Those state laws make it exceptionally difficult for any defendant to win. However, this case ultimately landed in front of a federal judge presiding from a New Jersey jurisdiction, and that judge ruled that those specific strict California laws just could not be applied here. By shifting the geographic lens from California over to New Jersey, the entire legal strategy just crumbled. That is what effectively saved the defense.
All right, let's pivot to Section 3, celebrity friends and subpoenas. Let's step out of the courtroom for a minute and look at the broader Hollywood ecosystem. Because a lawsuit of this magnitude, it doesn't just impact the people named on the paper. It sends absolute shockwaves through their entire social and professional network.
I mean, in a town that is built entirely on relationships and image, you gotta ask, who else got caught in the crossfire? When high-profile stars go to war, their private group chats, late-night texts, and behind-the-scenes emails all suddenly become potential courtroom evidence. And let me tell you, the fear of being dragged into a messy, super public legal dispute causes an immediate ripple effect among the A-list elite. Paranoia sets in, and it sets in fast. The threat of legal subpoenas triggered this massive behind-the-scenes scramble. Celebrity friends were suddenly staring down the barrel of having their private communications exposed and dissected in a court of law. So what happened next? Top-tier friends just started ghosting. We saw this whole wave of highly scrutinized Instagram unfollows. The social capital in Tinseltown pretty much dried up instantly, simply because no celebrity wants their multi-million-dollar personal brand tarnished by someone else's legal mud.
I'm not dealing with your drama anymore. That was the message coming down from the upper echelons of Hollywood, with rumors swirling that even megastars like Taylor Swift were noticeably distancing themselves. Whether that's an exact quote from a text message or just a perfect distillation of the industry's mood, it really highlights how quickly loyalty just evaporates when public image and personal legal exposure are suddenly on the line. Honestly, at a certain point, the entire situation started playing out like high school reality drama. You had the public airing of grievances, petty arguments over who said what in private texts, complaining about character names in other movies. It all felt wildly out of step with the polished, sort of untouchable image that top-tier movie stars usually work so hard to maintain. And anytime Hollywood's dirty laundry gets aired out this carelessly, the industry establishment violently recoils.
Moving on to the Section 4, alleged impact on careers. And when that establishment recoils, the consequences are incredibly real. Let's look at the alleged long-term fallout for what has, long been considered the ultimate Hollywood power couple.
When we look at the predictions being made, they are stark. For Blake Lively, the public relations damage appears so severe that there's talk of her and her family contemplating a move to Europe, maybe England, potentially just fading into career obscurity for a while to let this intense heat die down. And then for Ryan Reynolds, his famously unblemished, perfect guy image has taken a real hit purely by association. Factor in that he's aging out of the young romantic comedy roles that built his initial brand, and it leaves him heavily, perhaps entirely reliant on the Deadpool franchise just to maintain his A-list status.
Right now, there is a very toxic narrative out there framing Lively as the ultimate mean girl, drawing direct comparisons to negative industry stereotypes. And listen, when your brand is built almost entirely on charm, approachability, and relatability, getting slapped with a label like this is a massive threat to future casting. It completely shatters the illusion that audiences have happily bought into for over a decade.
And what about the leading men? Look, Hollywood is a machine, right? And it is always looking for a replacement part. As Reynolds navigates this PR turbulence, studios are already looking ahead. The rise of Ryan Gosling lately is just undeniable. With major upcoming projects on his slate, studios who are looking for that specific brand of charismatic, handsome, comedic leading man might just bypass Reynolds entirely and pivot toward Gosling instead. It is a really harsh reminder of how easily replaceable even the absolute biggest stars can be when controversy knocks on their door.
Finally, Section 5, shifts in Hollywood culture. Because this single lawsuit, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It acts more like a mirror, reflecting massive macroeconomic and cultural changes happening across the entire entertainment industry right now.
I really want you to think about this. Is this high-profile, abruptly settled lawsuit just an isolated incident? Or is it actually a symptom of a much larger Hollywood meltdown? The audience's perception of Hollywood is shifting so fast, the whole mystique is fading, and honestly, the public's tolerance for behind-the-scenes drama seems to be at an all-time low.
The argument being made is that the industry is currently paralyzed by groupthink and self-preservation. Remember those strict California workplace laws we talked about earlier? A lot of male celebrities are supposedly terrified of these laws, really fearing that a single accusation or messy lawsuit could end their careers in a flash. So as a result, they just publicly parrot whatever the acceptable industry groupthink is to protect their livelihoods, while keeping their true opinions fiercely private. It creates this stifling environment built entirely on fear rather than actual artistic creativity.
And this fear? It's supposedly driving a physical exodus. It's not just the Lively-Reynolds family reportedly looking at Europe. There's a much broader trend of massive stars quietly packing up and leaving Los Angeles altogether. It's like a perfect storm, the fear of inescapable lawsuits, the crushing burden of high state taxes, and just a desperate desire to escape the unyielding pressure cooker of California. The historic geographic center of celebrity might actually be fracturing.
Which brings us to a highly charged question being debated right now. Has the MeToo movement melted down? Cases exactly like this one, where early, really explosive claims are quietly dismissed by a judge and sudden settlements happen at the 11th hour, they're sparking a very tense debate. Some observers are asking whether this signals a growing public and legal fatigue with the initial framework of the movement, pointing toward a shift back to a much more skeptical, balanced legal standard in the courtroom. It is a complex, heavily debated topic, but this specific case has thrust it right back into the cultural spotlight.
So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Has the Hollywood landscape permanently shifted? I mean, we've just watched a massive legal dispute end in a total whimper, we've seen an A-list couple's carefully cultivated brand face unprecedented scrutiny, and we're watching a broader industry reacting with paranoia, ghosting, and even physical relocation. This wasn't just a settlement. It really feels like a real-time stress test for modern Hollywood. I hope this explainer gave you a clear, structured understanding of the hidden forces at play behind all those headlines. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you guys next time.